Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor. With me, as always, my partner Damian, the Wolverine Hill. And Trash Talk is joined tonight by Easy Alex Polizzi, who is fighting for the LFA vacant, not interim, light heavyweight championship on February 21st at Mystic Lake Casino. Trash Talk is brought to you always by our sponsors, Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, Origin Wellness CBD, Spartan Martial Arts, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, The Fighters, and my mom. Alex, thanks for taking the time to join us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing great, especially now that we got this interview with you. I really appreciate you for being on, especially going into this fight. I mean, this is a world title fight, man. I mean, how's that feel?
I get asked like different titles, different fights, and how you feel about this guy. But really, I think as fighters, it's important to be professional and kind of separate it. It sounds kind of cliche at this point, but one fight at a time. Make sure you're not looking above anybody. Make sure you're focused. But outside of trying to keep everything in my lane and not deviate from the norm. It feels good, man. It's nice that the LFA is giving me another shot. This is actually my second time fighting for LFA. They came to Madison, swung through where I'm training out of once before. I thought that we had a good show here, and it's nice to get that call back and be recognized for that championship title fight. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with one fight for LFA and getting a title shot, that might seem a little bit unexpected to some people, but the people that don't know your record and don't know your history as a fighter, it's not surprising at all. I mean, 6-0 as an amateur, 5-0 as a pro, all finishes in both amateur and pro. I mean, there's got to be something to be said about a guy with a record like that. Now, I mean, I'm going to dub you a finisher. I mean, it goes through your whole record, but is that something that you feel yourself always looking to get, or is it just kind of happen?
There's and I'm sure we'll get to talking about this later, but in wrestling, there's and other sports too, there's kind of a general consensus that there's room for error if you leave it up to the judges, if you leave it up to the scorecard, if you leave it up to that sort of thing. So why not be safer and just make sure everybody knows you won,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way of going about it. I mean, obviously, take the judges out of it. That was the major controversy this last weekend in all of MMA. So to being able to avoid that and, keep exceeding, like Damian mentioned, you're fighting now. This is for the world title. Your performances have shown it. You mentioned your previous LFA fight. I mean, it was a domination, to say the least. First round finish. I feel like you really showed, and obviously the brass at the LFA saw that as well. When you got the call to fight Jamal for the championship, what was the initial reaction? How long have you actually known about this fight? I know there was a while before things were actually announced, but most guys knew for a little bit of time.
Yeah. So I've known for about a good month now. Things have been in motion. Actually, before this one, we were looking at with some other organizations, and actually, previously I was supposed to fight in January up in Canada for. Oh shoot, I forget the organization's name, and now I look like a dingus. But it was supposed to be a fight up in Canada against a highly touted guy up there. Unfortunately, that fight kind of fell through injury, and my last fight was back in August for Final Fight Championship out in Vegas. And so I've just been kind of sitting here training, and it's it can be kind of tough when you're training. You don't know when the next fight's coming. So after this Canada fight fell through, shortly after, week or so, it came around, and Josh, my promoter manager, said, LFA's giving you a call, giving you a title shot, and I said, all right, man, now we got something to train for, and we can just keep on plugging away.
Oh yeah. Oh man. So I guess it wasn't too bad of news finding out, or I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't too bad of news finding out that the other fights got or fell through.
No. I mean, you know, it always sucks when a fight falls through, but I'm confident in our team and especially our coaches and our managers to be able to keep us ready and keep us ready for the next fight as well as finding it and keeping our best interest in mind. And also, the one thing I'll say is it kind of sucks because Canada would have been my first time out of the country, but Minnesota is basically Canada, right?
Dude,
I take
it
offense to
totally is.
that.
It totally is. I know that TJ might get mad because him and
I take
Canada have
offense.
problems, but oh my God, I love it there. If you ever get the chance to fight out there, take it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So with traveling and things like that, you mentioned the fight out in Vegas. Have you done a lot of traveling for your fights, and are you excited to start now with this world title?
Well, amateur was all pretty local. We tried to branch out, but amateur is so risky trying to move around and lots of moving parts. As we moved to professional fights, stayed a little local, stayed on the regional scene. We started branching out. Vegas. Let's see, there's a couple. We did Vegas. Actually, yeah, it would be Vegas and Minnesota and Wisconsin. Got a lucky break on the LFA one coming through Madison, and a little bit of a little bit extra shine there. But it's a little bit tougher at light heavyweight, just finding the right bouts. I have a teammate of mine who's actually fighting in Finland on Saturday. He had a fight in Kuala Lumpur a month or so back for one, but I mean he's doing that 180, 175 weight class where it seems like they just can't get enough guys there, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you mentioned being able to travel and having teammates with those experiences, and we kind of talked a little bit. To be truthful, we had a conversation before we could record. I don't remember if it was on or off camera, but you mentioned you comfortably make 205 pretty easily. We'll just sum it up at that. We don't got to talk any numbers. Long term, is 85 something you're thinking maybe an option, or do you expect 205 to be a home?
Oh man.
Put
85 would be
him under the
something.
lights now, man. It's pressure
Listen,
now.
85 is not outside of the realm of possibility, but man, the thing is, and I'll bring it up I'll bring up wrestling repeatedly, but I know MMA is a little different because there's the reach, obviously, but in wrestling it was kind of widely considered. You cut weight if you're not strong enough for the weight class you're at, and the thing I feel is I'm strong enough for light heavyweight. And I feel that way right now. I'm dealing with a little bit of a height disadvantage, but you want to know what? Other guys have worked through it. I mean, we see guys at light heavyweight kind of battle through it. And so I think that 205 is nice. If I know there's been a little bit of playing around at 195 as a weight class.
Yeah.
I've heard some regional shows putting on 195 and maybe dealing with that. If that ever becomes an official weight class, maybe, but I like 205. And right now I think that my career has shown that I'm okay there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Hells yeah. No, you quoted or you made a wrestling quote, reference. Could you tell me a little bit more about your wrestling background, and is that how you actually got attracted into MMA?
Absolutely. I've been wrestling since I was 5th grade, and it helped. It kept me focused in school. Got me a decent scholarship. Wrestled all through college, and then it just like a lot of guys. I mean, you hear it's kind of a popular story with guys playing college ball, like football, and they don't make the NFL. What am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? But for wrestling, I feel like that window is even smaller because, I mean, there's no pro wrestling league outside of WWE, but that's not. Come on, that's a show.
Yeah.
Nothing against them, but it's not competitive. But like outside of that, it's the Olympics. Well, after college, Tried it for a little bit, wasn't quite there. Didn't quite make it the right tournaments. Didn't quite turn it on at the right times. And so after a little bit of not wrestling, I figured out that I still need to be able to do some violence upon people. And so when I moved to Madison, I looked up what local MMA gyms were popping, and I found Chosen Few and decided to start working out there, and fell in love with MMA.
Man, hell yeah, that's quite the journey. I mean, and is that where you've been this whole time?
Yeah. Chosen Few in Madison. They have a good group of guys, and it's I think that sometimes with the popularity of UFC, that sometimes gyms can pop up that say like we teach MMA when it's more cardio aerobic centric.
Yeah.
They're not training fighters. It's just to work out. But I'm blessed to have found a really great home at Chosen Few. Guys who are competitive, guys who are ready to take it to the next level. We got pros like Dante, my guy who's so well traveled. Dante Skiro, Mark Lemminger, who's going to be fighting for Bellator next month. He was supposed to be on this month, but now it's next month. And even some of our little guys like Alex Gilpin, who was really shook up the PFL division, and so we got some good quality guys there. And
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned having such a good gym, quality guy, especially in your weight area, and being able to experience this whole game with them, growing with them. Now, this fight, obviously, I mean, let's be real, Madison to Minneapolis, it's not a huge drive. With that, do you think that you're going to be able to bring a team of support with you out there? Have you been hearing more about who's willing to make the drive here? I think it's about 6 hours from Madison to the Twin Cities.
It's something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna be sleeping the whole time anyway. But no. We got my coach just and our core group guys. But I think that it's kind of a neutral site for both me and my opponent. I don't think anybody's getting really a home team sort of advantage. But I will throw this out there. I've been on both sides, and I gotta say, I hope he brings a bigger crowd, because like cheers are nice, but booze
Yeah.
get me going.
Dude, I don't know if I don't know if you feel the same way, but this is how I felt anytime I was booed. It's something special about winning, but it's something even more special about winning and shutting people the fuck up. It feels so good.
Yeah, I mean, as a fighter, I don't think there's anything better than having some guy come up to you later in the night and go, "Man, I thought you were gonna lose," but it's like, yeah, that but.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. So being able, like you mentioned, neutral site, this opportunity. I mean, the LFA is kind of a mainstay. I mean, we've been lucky here in the Twin City area. The LFA seems to come around multiple times. Is this something to where when you win the belt, the intention is to stay and defend it one or two times, or are you looking at possibly growing here with this potential win?
As I said before, it's always about the next fight. I try not to think too much ahead. Uh, I'm here to fight who's ever willing to throw down. If that means throwing, if that means defending the belt a couple times and fighting again for the LFA, I have nothing but good to say about the organization. The one time I fought for them, I thought it went really well, and I'm expecting the same amount of professionalism in this next one. But if something comes along bigger, then so be it. If somebody's running their mouth in Finland, I might have to go over there and beat up somebody. Who knows? But it's all just about staying prepared and putting on a good show.
Oh yeah, man. I feel like I could sit here and talk to you for hours and hours, man. This has just been a fun conversation. But before we start to wrap this up, do you have any sponsors or teammates you'd like to thank? Sorry, and also, sorry, TJ, if I cut you off and you did have one last question.
TJ,
Okay.
you got something?
Nope, he didn't. He's good.
All right. Well, again, my teammates that I already mentioned, Alex Gilpin, Mark Lemminger, Dante Skiro, all the other people that pour in and out through Chosen Few, my coaches, Josh Derry and Damian Decora, Kane Rizzo, and all. We have a few Johns as well as a couple Troys helping us out. So really, I couldn't get to where I am without those guys. Sponsor wise, I'm talking Kern's Motor Car. I'm talking the Rock Bar and Grill. I'm talking Madison Family Wellness. If you don't recognize them, that's because they stick needles in me. They're acupuncture place. Also, hold on, real quick. One of your sponsors is a hypnotist place, and I want to talk about that off the air. I need to get more information about that hypnotist. But okay, Madison Family Wellness, JMR Construction, and I'm missing anybody. Oh, and Remax Ignite, one of my newer sponsors. Doing big deals in Beloit, my hometown. So yeah, am I getting played off? You guys playing me off like Oscar? Did I hear music?
No,
there?
I was.
No,
I heard
it's
a
a
train
train
go
in the
off.
background. My bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But no, I was finished up. All right.
I heard the train too. I'm like, what the hell?
The window's
but,
so barely cracked.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for being on with us again, Alex. This has been a great interview. I wish you the best of skill, as TJ would say, because I don't like to wish. We both don't like to wish people luck. I always say best performance to you, sir. You know, things like that. So go out there, perform well. Thanks for being on. People watching, hit that like button, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. Do not be a hoe.
And then it's Polizzi, correct?
Polizzi. Yep.
Perfect.
If you want to sound like Italian with it, you could say Polizzi, but then you got to do the hand motion.
Polizzi.